Alright, hello fun and welcome back to my Fallout 4 Mod Spotlight series, where today we are having a look at the T6M's anti-air launcher mod, which is being made by user The Six Messenger. And what this glorious little piece of work looks to add into the game is the real-life Fliegerfaust anti-air launcher that was made in the final year of World War II by the Germans as an attempt to take out planes with it. Apparently, didn't actually work very well, but in the lore for this mod, it continued development afterward, creating a variety of different versions that we now have here in the Commonwealth. And I always do like those little lore additions for why things like this might still be in the world. So pretty cool there indeed. Let's jump on over to take a look at what we are exactly getting with the anti-air missile launcher, which in its most basic and standard form will do 180 damage using a missile, with a firing rate of 25, a range of 203, accuracy of 72, and a fairly hefty weight of 10, which makes sense, it's a missile launcher after all. And as you can see, this thing is pretty darn good looking. It's basically just, a variation of our usual rocket launcher in the game, but with at the very minimum 2 tubes to fire from, and a pretty decent amount of modifications to help this thing be a little bit more interesting. Now, the actual Fliegerfaust that was made in World War II looks much different from this, and in fact looks more like one of the other models I'll show off in a second, one of the modified versions. But yes, the standard one is this two-barreled one, though, which is still pretty nice and can hit pretty darn hard. Of course, I have some higher damage here than the base because of some skills I had to get for modifications. But yes, that base of 180, not too shabby at all. And with at a minimum of 2 rapid-firing rockets, pretty darn cool indeed. And overall, just a fun, nifty weapon, and does look pretty darn cool, especially the other modified versions with even more barrels. Now, as for how you do get your hands on one of these lovely things, well, it's pretty simple. They'll start spawning in the world at level 30, wherever a missile launcher normally would, though they're particularly found on gunners. And also starting at level 30, you will see them integrated in with the legendary loot list, so you might find a fun legendary version of this on an enemy, and that's terrifying, especially if they have the much larger number of barrel varieties, because they hit really hard. But along with those, there are also 5 unique versions that can be found or purchased out there in the world for you to enjoy, and they are some pretty impressive ones. But even without those uniques, these are, well, you can make them into some pretty impressive weaponry, because again, they especially with the, I believe this is 12 barrels here. Yeah, each one of those barrels is firing a very deadly missile with hundreds of points of damage, and in this model, it does it in bursts of 3. So, nice. Let's go over here and take a look at what all we are getting, though, with those various modifications, and start on our receiver category, where we've got quite a few, going from standard to tuned to armor piercing, calibrated, and just keep on going all the way to advanced and overpowered, which is quite nice. You'll see we have a variation between demolition expert for some of these, gun nut for all of them, and heavy gunner on some of the others. So yeah, a lot of different requirements to make this thing super deadly, but yeah, you can. I believe that's the highest you can get it at, 580 with this particular receiver, which is a lot. And again, that's per missile. And remember what I said earlier about the ones that have like the 12 launcher tubes. They fire in bursts of 3. So now in the missile barrel category, we've got the 2, the 6, a triple, a 9, and a 12 cell rocket barrel. And you can see it does modify the damage, increasing it for the larger tube sizes and decreasing it for the smaller tube sizes. And then down here we also have smart versions of them, so you can just fire and forget, and again do a crap load of damage. Now, in the sights category, we have a large selection of reflex sights especially, but we do have standard glow, and then a ton of reflex sights right here, as you can see, then a standard scope, night vision, and recon. Though if you go with the smart ones, you don't need to have the recon sight because it does it automatically because these are smart. And then finally we have the material category where we have either no materials, which is my personal favorite, a desert paint scheme, or a winter scheme. And when it comes to those unique ones, they also do have some variants of their own. For instance, one of them is found with the Brotherhood of Steel, so it has a Brotherhood of Steel paint job, which is pretty nifty. And yeah, so not a whole lot in here. Mainly you're going to be in the receiver category, the barrel category, and the sights category, but they can create some very, very fun missile launchers with that. Now, I should also mention before we actually go to shooting, I'm of course using the most standard basic of installs, but when you do bring this into your game, there is an option to install it with munitions support, so where it'll have its own special rocket. The standard, selection that you choose will use the same in-game missiles as, of course, every other missile launcher does, and you'll just need a lot of them. But yes, if you have munitions, you do have an option to have a special new missile just for this, which is kind of cool. So let me go grab my two modified versions and take a look at how this thing functions, starting of course with our standard two-barrel tube launcher one, and fire. There we go. Quite rapid firing. Like I said, even the basic one of two barrels, you got a lot of explosive power there. Slow to reload because, it is it's a missile launcher, so it just makes sense that it would be. But overall, not a whole lot of kick per shot, which makes sense. Missile launcher, it's not exactly a concussive force weapon, so you can really keep this thing on target quite nicely, which is always good to see, and mainly so you can just rain down more damage upon your enemies. Now, then, of course, if we go to the three-tubed one I've got here, which I also have it at the most powerful at 580, that specific option there. And it's three tubes like the two-tube ones, so they're the larger, harder-hitting rockets, but slower firing. And with one of the many nice recon scopes, or not recon, reflex, but fire. And there you go, that's 3 missiles downrange very, very quickly, each one doing 580 damage, which, yeah, so within like a second and a half, that's, well, a lot. You can do a whole lot of damage with these rockets, which is pretty great. Now, I gotta admit though, I prefer, I think, the, larger barreled ones, or well, more numerous barrel varieties that actually have the burst fire, because it causes a lot more area of effect. So if you are against a larger group of enemies, you can just wipe out like a whole platoon with multiple salvos from this thing. It's pretty great. You get 4 bursts of 3 rockets each rocket doing 210, so within like a second or two, 12 rockets times 210. Again, that's a lot of damage you're putting down range. And plus, this is a smart one, so, it's gonna hit. So, let's fire this one and go. And yeah, that's 12 rockets we just fired. 12 rockets in just the blink of an eye, effectively. 4 bursts of 3. Oh, lovely, lovely, lovely. And the best part is, ammo count-wise, as you'll see in the bottom right-hand corner, it's showing 4. So it is actually only using 1 missile per shot, but it's counting as 3 missiles going downrange, which is pretty cool. And if we do fire at, say, like the mountainside over there, let me actually reload this thing, you can sort of see that spread I was talking about, with just how much area of effect damage you can do with this thing. There's just explosions everywhere. Kind of hard to see with the reload animation, but let's actually just do 3 shots. Look at that coverage. Beautiful. So yeah, let's take a look at these things in practice against our usual friend, our Deathly Deathclaw. And I'm pretty sure blow him away in a very short order. Yep, there he goes. Let's try the 3-tube one. Yeah, just again, 12 missiles, each doing that, what, 201 damage? Oh, it's magnificent. This one a bit more control over each shot, of course. And the one tube of, well, the one magazine, I guess, of 3 tubes. Well, there we go. Did eventually kill him. I actually did forget the triple barrel one does burning damage, if I'm remembering right. Hold on, let's actually go back over here. I forget about that. So it did have a little bit of damage over time, because it was after the initial 3 rockets. It still did have a little bit. Was it the receiver? Bleeding damage from the powerful piercing receiver. There it is. So yeah, we had a little bit more damage over time, plus the high-end damage, which did kill it a little bit after the use of 3 rockets. Though I gotta admit, I love the like 12 tube one. Again, this is more accurate to what the Fliegerfaust was IRL. The whole point of it was a lot of small rockets to like cover an area of the sky to shoot down like ground attack planes that were coming to dive bomb them, and you're shooting missiles off into the distance. And it's just fun. I mean, just launching a ton of missiles downrange at an enemy is hilarious. And just, you know, kind of a bit overpowered, and I love it. So bye-bye, new Deathclaw. Oh yeah, and I forgot that this one was the smart one too, so we did actually see the recon thing there for a second. Hold on though, let's do a proper fire and forget. Hi, Deathclaw. Bye, Deathclaw. There he goes. Magnificent. Love it. You gotta love it. It's just a great time. Nancy, if you'd like to take a look at this mod for yourself, which I'd certainly recommend you go and do, you can have a look at the link in the video description as usual. But that's going to be it for this one today. Hopefully you all have enjoyed. You do come back for the next, but until that time, thank you for watching as always. Well, have a good one. I also think that was the one that was left alive, but he got blown all the way over there and somehow survived, and then came back at me. Impressive. All right, well, later, folks.